Okay, guys, so I lost my script. I don't know how I did, but I don't have my script for this episode, but nonetheless, it's a good conversation and I have a good thumbnail for it, so we're just gonna get it in. And the script was kind of long, so maybe this would be a condensed version. So I wanted to talk about growing a gaming channel in 2022. This was originally something I wanted to talk about because a few months ago, or maybe even a year ago, it was a huge topic on YouTube, or at least like a subtopic. It never really blew up or got big, none of these videos gained like 1 million views, except for maybe the RDC one. But basically there was this topic going on, basically a Twitter thread on YouTube of people saying that gaming is dead. And when I was listening to these things, I disagreed with most, if not all of them. And I do have a couple clips of some of them, but I don't have all of them that I saw. So going with the ones that I do have the clips of, I'm going to play those right now so you can get a feel for what some of these people were saying.
And bland. It's basically just a nightmare from a dystopian future. And it seems like no new games release in a finished state anymore. So the question stands, does modern gaming suck? Well, the answer to that might actually be no. But instead, the internet sucks, and it kind of had a negative impact on gaming. But it also could be said that you suck. Which, yeah, that's a bold statement, but don't click off yet. I will explain all this later.
Gaming is dying, or video games are boring, has been something people have been saying for quite a while now, and I can't really blame them for saying that, because at one point I was in the exact same mindset. Sometime last year, I would say, was when it really hit me that video games don't feel the same as they used to. I remember running home from school on a Friday and playing video games with my friends all night. But as time went on, it felt like I couldn't play video games for more than like an hour at a time before I got bored. And I think a lot of people have felt this way, especially when quarantine started to happen, when like all you really had to do was play video games. And eventually I just got tired of playing video games, but not because I hate them, but because it feels like there was nothing really to play.
You know what I'm saying? What's some other big games?
Like now?
Yeah, right now.
Shit, basically every game that's out right now.
Oh, here it is. No game has a lot of replay value in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That's what like, 100%.
Well, I know why this is the case though. Two
Why is
things.
that? Why
One
is
is
that?
because of short attention span. A lot of people want like games that got easy rewards to like you play and you get like a quick reward for doing X amount of time being played. The other thing is you only getting 40% of the game now. Most of the stuff they putting in DLC now.
Is that not?
Well,
That's counting towards them being money hungry.
well, here's the deal.
That's why I changed my
Developers did
answer
that.
from no to yes, because yes was coming from the fact that like when you play games like Destiny 2, you're getting like you gotta basically play by season, and now it's getting to where it's getting to Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter where they give you 20 characters and it's really 40.
20? No, it's really they give you 5 characters.
5, yeah.
And then they add on.
You must be talking about Dead or Alive, man.
All right, as I'm editing this, I realized that I missed an argument that they were making, that games nowadays do not release as a complete thing. Well, yeah, you're 100% right. A lot of games don't really release in a complete state because there's a whole bunch of logistics behind that I do not understand. But to be the devil's advocate, games are far larger nowadays and require a lot more goes into making a game now than it did back then. But that still really isn't an excuse. I mean, the only really thing you can argue for the devil, or in this case, is the deadlines and whatnot. But we've seen games get delayed and whatnot, so you really shouldn't be putting out an unreleased product. But the only real argument for that, which there really isn't, you shouldn't put out a game that isn't finished. So I agree with that. But yeah, games are really large nowadays, you know what I'm saying? So if you're like, for example, making a 10-minute video might take anywhere from 4-5 hours, but if I'm making a video that's an hour or so long and I try to do it in the same time span, it's going to come out a little janky. Or you see this with animation channels all the time. They'll put out bits and pieces of a story because it takes far more to animate a story than to talk into Audacity for 10 minutes, right? So they'll do like bits and pieces. So that's what games do nowadays, especially since it costs a lot more to see. This is my problem when I'm talking. As I talk, more context enters my brain and I just want to explain everything. But to not make this any longer is like, the cost. So they got to pay for the game and they also got to do more with the game. So they're just like, okay, to get money off of this, let's go ahead and release it, and then this, that, and the third. And then there's also that drip feed tactic that people are doing to try to get that season pass style content where they get you to buy the game and then they just keep adding on more and more to get you to continuously play the game to get that, I don't know the name for the analytic, but basically your playtime up, keep you playing the game by adding new content. But from their point of view, they're right, because they are saying like games will, instead of making a full game and keeping you in the game by adding new things, they'll make a game with basically no content like Battlefield 2042 and then start adding in shit that should have been in the game in the first place rather than adding to the experience. They're just giving you a piece of an experience and then giving you that experience back. It's weird, but yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
There's a lot of kids whose mothers just buy them the game regardless, right?
Hey, I'm gonna keep quoting Star Wars. That's a big ass franchise.
That's fine, but I'm saying there's a lot of kids whose mothers just buy them the game. They're not gonna be like, hey mom, take this back because this is shit. Like, they're not gonna do that. And there's not enough of us who's gonna be like, hey, yeah, I'm not playing this game, so y'all better go make a better one. They should just put more effort into their game and make a better game. We can't wait for 2 years for all the DLC to come out just for the game to be good and then be like, oh yeah, but look, we did put out a good game. It just took us 2 extra years. No, they need to release a good game from the start. It doesn't matter that you can squeeze
Destiny
more
2.
money out of people. That's still the gaming companies being greedy, so therefore it plays against the video game. So therefore video games are falling off.
So you listen to these arguments, and these guys are talking about how games nowadays aren't as appealing, and this, that, and the third, and it feels like the gaming companies are putting out the same this, that, and the third. Well, the reason why I disagree with this is a thing that I'm starting to see when it comes to these arguments of new versus old is that the old things are finished. There's, what I'm saying? Like, if you're comparing the Xbox Series X to the Xbox 360, that's not a fair comparison because the Xbox 360's catalog is finished. The Xbox Series X and still the Xbox One's catalog is still an ongoing thing. So, and then we also forget that this whole thing between, on a scale of 1 to 10, 4, 5, and 6 are average, with 4 being just below average, 6 being above average. And you got to remember that a majority of things are going to be average. Everything is not going to be a 7, 8, 9, 10. Everything is not going to be a 1, 2, 3. You feel me? So what happens is nowadays, every game that drops is not going to be as good as Modern Warfare 2. Every game that drops is not going to be an Elden Ring. Every game that drops is not going to be a spectacular game. And every game that drops is not going to be as bad as, the worst Madden, which is all of them from the last 7 years, or your worst 2K games. Most games are going to be average. Games like Deathloop, average game. Games like Lost Planet, average games. This, that, and the third. And you can name a whole bunch of games. A majority of games you play are going to be average experiences that you're going to be indifferent by. And you finishing the game is just a sign of you enjoyed it enough to finish it. And there's going to be some games you just can't finish, but they're still mediocre. So the thing that I'm getting from this is, while we should hold these companies to a very high standard of what they're saying, like, oh, these games need to be better, and always push for them to put out the best game possible, that I do not disagree with. But when you say gaming is dead, I feel like that's a way over exaggeration, because check this out. So getting back on what I just said about how things are mediocre, if you think about the Xbox 360, you're going to think about the best of the best. What are your favorite games from the Xbox 360? You could probably name a whole bunch, right? But the thing that I hate though is, as these games are coming out, these relatively mediocre games, well, I'm jumping all over the place. This is why I write scripts. Thing is, you're going to remember all your favorite games from the Xbox 360, right? But you're not going to forget all the games you felt indifferent about, or the games you just didn't like. Like me, I love the Xbox 360. I played a lot of single player games on there. I didn't really start multiplayer until I got the Xbox One. But if I go on my Xbox 360 right now, which if I'm not a lazy editor, you'll see it right now, I literally have hundreds of games on my 360, hundreds on this hard drive. And when I go to play my 360, I only play 2 or 3 games, or I buy another game that I don't have on here, despite the fact that there's hundreds of them on there. So you comparing the best of the best from a finished catalog to mediocre games and using that to justify that gaming nowadays is dead is completely invalid. And I know life isn't fair, but that's not a fair argument. You can't compare Modern Warfare 2 consistently one of the best, if not the best, Call of Duty of all time to fucking Battlefield 2042, right? That's Battlefield 2042, most people think is bad or a mediocre game, right? You can't compare Halo fucking 3. Wait, what? I don't know which one's your favorite. Halo 3. No, it wasn't Halo 3. It's like Halo 2. Hey, you can't compare Halo 2, a finished project, to Halo Infinite. Now, you can pull things from Halo 2 to say this is what can make Halo Infinite better, but saying Halo Infinite will never live up to Halo 2 just because is just unfair because it's not a finished product. So this whole idea that gaming is dead because games quote unquote aren't as good at nowadays is a complete fallacy. And then we got to remember that we were younger back then when those games came out, and our attention span was easy. It was easier to be grasped, right? Now, back then you didn't really have as much time to game, especially if you went to a public school like most of us do. A vast majority of at least American society does. So you probably get a few hours to game, and you only get a few hours to game. And my parents were strict. Some people's parents would restrict certain games you had to play or how long you would be on the game, right? I could play the game as long as I wanted, barring I woke up, I didn't miss the bus. So you only had a certain amount of time to enjoy these games. So you basically were just down for whatever because of selective experiences. And most of these people that are saying gaming isn't good nowadays are guys that are established full-time YouTubers. So you went from playing 2, 3, 4 hours a day to now your job is to play at least 4, 5, 6 hours of content, a day to get your content to support your lifestyle and whatnot. And then not only that, playing the game in 2, 3, 5 hour increments. Streamers play the games 8 hours a day, right? Not only that, but if you're a YouTuber or if you make YouTube videos, you got to go back and edit those games. So you're spending double, if not triple, the amount of time with these games. And anytime you see, you spend that much time with something, it's gonna lose its value at least a little bit, right? Everybody wants a nice fancy car, or wouldn't mind having a nice fancy car. We admire Lamborghinis when they drive by. We admire those Aston Martins when they drive by. If you bought an Aston Martin and you weren't broke paying for it, you would absolutely love the fuck out of your Aston Martin, right? But the thing is, once you drove it for a few months, once you've driven it for a year, you know what I'm saying? That's when it becomes, yeah, this Aston Martin's cool, but it's not hitting the same. Same thing with video games. A lot of these companies put out consistent experiences. You know what I'm saying? To me, if I go and play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, me personally, I'm gonna get the same experience playing Call of Duty Cold War, which is probably the least favorite of the recent Call of Duty releases, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. To me, that'd be the same as playing World at War. There's consistent experiences. The only difference is that they made, the game is really consistent. And if the game doesn't make some cool improvement or have a drastically ridiculous, story you agree with or something like that, if they don't have that one new thing or that new switch up to the thing, then you're gonna be like, that been there, done that. And as we get older, we've played and experienced more games. So the older we get and the more games you play, there's gonna be less and less unique experiences. So, if you're saying if you're arguing quality of a game is not, you know what I'm saying? That is okay. But some people would say that their games are getting repetitive and, they're not new experiences. Well, as we get older, it's harder to find new experiences in games because you've played a fuck ton more. There's only so many unique things you can do with the game. So that whole argument for gaming is dead because the games aren't as fun anymore, which is, to some people that may be it, but that's a subjective thing. And maybe you should try playing more games. You know what I'm saying? Some people that I heard that argument from, that games aren't as fun anymore, are YouTubers who make a living off of one game or one gaming category. It's branch out, but some of them can't, or they start losing money. The thing is, the companies are putting out mediocre, or I don't know what it is, but people we'll call average games trash. They're just average. There's select few trash games, okay? Madden is one of them, but there's a lot of games are relatively mediocre. So these games will put out mediocre experiences, and then they learn from it, and then eventually, there's going to be the bangers, the best of the best, right? So they will go through all these mediocre experiences and say that games are worse nowadays, but they're comparing it to the best of the best from the past, rather than, because there's a lot of games on the PlayStation 2 that are ass. There's a lot of games on the 360 that are ass, but you're not comparing these mediocre games to those ass titles. You're comparing it to the best of the best. And just like the rap game, the thing that I hate about that is that they expect you to they want you to consistently be peaking forever. And when you're not peaking, you fell off and you're trash now, right? That's just not how it works. People, they rise. There's just like the economy. It goes up, it goes down. There's skyrockets, there's recessions, and most of the time you're going to be plateauing at some point. So that's what it is. So dang, it took me 10 minutes just to explain the first argument. I forgot what my other argument was. Give me a second. Okay, so the second argument that I had besides that one, make sure you drop comments so I can elaborate more on this, because when I'm just rattling it off the top of my head, I might not get as detailed as I want, or the thoughts will not be in, what is it called, chronological order. I might be attacking different problems at random points in time. So just let me know what you agree with, what you don't, and then I can elaborate in a more chronological, more structured way in the comments, assuming we get any. But another thing that I saw and felt like, I couldn't find the videos now because I watched them months ago, but there was a lot of people who were kind of attributing that gaming is dead due to, you know what I'm saying, they were attributing that to like the videos, you know what I'm saying, like the videos aren't doing as well, gaming videos. And yeah, gaming, growing a gaming channel, which is the title of this, is hard nowadays, especially since it's such a saturated market, and the fact that just about everybody games nowadays. So like a lot of people, especially when they get to a certain age, it's like, why would I watch you play the game when I can go play it myself? You feel me? I feel like that's why a lot of your first episode in your reviews, story explained, and the first episode of a series is going to be your most viewed episode most of the time, depending on when you drop it, because a lot of people are watching it to see if, do they want to buy the game? Is the game good enough for them to buy and experience themselves? Is the game, do they not like the game enough to buy it, or buy it or not? Some people will buy the game and still watch you. Some people will be like, yeah, I don't want to buy this, but I'm still interested in seeing how it plays out. So then they'll watch the rest of your series. And then there's, that's pretty much how it goes. And then there's a lot of drop off from that. But yeah, the gaming community, I can't explain why, but I feel like that's one reason. But yeah, it's down. The views are down. But, attributing that gaming is dead because the views are going down is a complete fallacy, because there's a lot of games that are getting crazy sales, games that are doing really well, and there's a ton of gamers out there. There's a lot of pro gamers out there, this, that, and the third. And also, that's a very isolated experience, because I've seen gaming channels when I'm scrolling through YouTube, that I've just blown up out of nowhere, right? I've seen gaming channels that are getting lots of views, especially, the bigger YouTubers are going absolutely insane, because the gaming industry is starting to collaborate with these content creators, because it's bigger promotion for this, that, and the third. But I do 100% agree with they didn't say it, but it is absolutely it is very, very hard to grow a gaming channel nowadays. That's what I wanted to use those arguments for, is gaming dead, to transition into, is I don't think gaming's dead whatsoever. In fact, I believe that there are more gamers now than ever, and there's definitely a lot more gaming creators and a lot more people aspiring to be gaming creators nowadays than there was ever before. So the category isn't dead. It's in fact just super saturated, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot to, you know what I'm saying? And then content style and is changing and whatnot. There's a lot of short form content now. There's not a lot of, people who want to watch a 10, 30 hour long minute video, you know what I'm saying? But there is those people out there. Nonetheless, I can't argue that kind of stuff because I don't really know too much about it. That's just my brief opinion on it. But growing a gaming channel in 2022 is ridiculously hard, because in my theory, it's like the bigger channels are getting it really good. They're consistently growing because these guys are full-time YouTubers, so they can hop on games day one of release and whatnot and get these videos out. And not only that, is that when they drop videos, they have so many people coming in that first 30, first 2, 3, 4 hours, and they're gonna run the likes up, and then now they're gonna get into the algorithm, and now that video is just going crazy. And like I said earlier, with people will watch the first episode of the series to consider whether they want to buy a video game, or do they want to buy it and still watch, or do they just not interested in all, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, that whole conundrum is a lot of them are going to watch they're going to search the game up, and they're going to click on the first video they see, one of the first few videos they see, and a majority of the time that's going to be the bigger YouTuber, because they post a video, they're going to get the most views in a short amount of time. So when they look that up, wham, they see these dudes, they click on it, they watch the video, they figure out if they're interested or not, and then they dip, or they just watch those guys, because it's like, especially with games like The Quarry, it's like, okay, well, we watched his point of view and let's just watch it through, because you know what I'm saying, we know where he's at, we don't want to miss a part, this, that, and the third, we don't want to miss a piece of the story, or we like his editing style. For whatever reason, they'll just keep watching him through and through. So there's that. But also with the gaming industry collabing with YouTubers and content creators, is now they get these games and information early. So now a good way to grow a channel back then, or like in the early stages or before all of this, right, was day one, get a video out. Whatever you do, just get a video out, because there's going to be people doing what I explained, looking the game up to see whether it's worth it to buy or watch. And then if they click on your video, then you have a higher chance of them, you have a higher chance of somebody discovering your video if you post it day one, because people are going to be, the traffic for the game is going to be really high. Well, that's not really a valid strategy nowadays, especially when it comes to your bigger or AAA games, because YouTubers and content creators nowadays get games early. So even if you want to post day one, which sometimes I do, it doesn't really matter, because those guys will post their videos 2, 3, sometimes even a week or two before you even get access to the game, which I'm not mad at that, because when I'm in a position to where that's happening for me, I would really appreciate it. But it does really suck for us smaller channels who's trying to do anything to scrape together some views. And then another big part of this besides that is audience retention. Audience retention is extremely difficult. I mean, it's the hardest part of content creation. Eventually you're going to get to a point where you're comfortable with your videos, or you like the editing style. Like, I make really good videos per se, but the thing is, it's just like the audience retention, it's really hard, and it's been that way forever. You're going to need, you're going to have to hit you're going to have to get at least 100,000 views before you get 10,000 subscribers, or hit 100,000 views before you average 6,000 views, right? Well, yeah, that's tough though, because with the algorithm the way it is, and this, that, and the third, it's really hard to get in there. It's hard to get that 100,000 views starting from zero. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers now, and I can't even get into the algorithm of certain videos. So with a majority of my video, I have like maybe one every few months get into the algorithm, and even then they don't even crack 1,000 views. So really tough being a content creator nowadays, because it's just like it's one of those situations where the rich get richer and we just kind of metal out. So it's like, I was looking at this stuff earlier because I wanted to see how long, I wanted to get a gauge for how long it was going to take me to get out of this shitty job that I work, right? So I was looking, and it's like a lot of people blow up when they're around 50 to 100k subscribers. Sometimes people are at 20 and whatnot, but most of the time it's 50 to 100k, and getting from 0 to 100k takes a long time, especially nowadays, especially with a saturated market. Everybody's doing everything in this, that, and the third. Nonetheless, this video is getting really long, and I've already explained all the points off the top of my head that I can remember. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. So in conclusion, people that think gaming is dead because companies are putting out bad games, and they don't feel the love for the games or whatnot, and they're just gonna keep putting out trash games because people buy it. I believe that is true to an extent, but I don't think you should generalize it to the whole gaming. You know what I'm saying? Don't generalize it. There are certain companies that do that, but don't say, when you say that, you're just implying that every company is just putting out, bare minimum games just to get people to buy and stick around, when that is not true. I feel like that's based on, especially in the RDC one, they will mention a new game and be like, oh, that's not touching this. that's not touching this game from back then. Name a game better than this. Well, it's like you're comparing, relatively new games, mediocre games at that, to the best of the best, which is just not, it's not a fair argument. Like, of course, fucking off the top of my Battlefield 2042 is not gonna mess with fucking Modern Warfare 2, right? Nonetheless, okay, but yeah, I disagree with that, because like companies are gonna put out what they feel is going to sell, and sometimes they're gonna experiment, and sometimes it's gonna backfire, sometimes it's not. You know what I'm saying? I like that they're gonna keep trying different things, and nowadays they get bashed really, really, really hard. So after they experiment and get absolutely crapped on for it, they're probably going to put out something that they know you like, which is probably going to be a mediocre game that you deem repetitive. Well, it's like you shit on the last release, we got to give you something that you're okay with before we try something new next. So I don't think gaming is dead in that sense, to where companies are just putting out what the fuck ever because people are going to buy it. Now, there are some companies that do that, but I don't think all of them do, and I feel like we should stop comparing mediocre games nowadays to the best of back then, and start appreciating what's in our catalog now. And then once we get those really good hits like in the Elden Ring, we could compare them to the older games, and then you could make the argument, was the old game better or the new one better, which some people would say that the older Dark Souls are better than Elden Ring and this, that, and the third. Or maybe like with me, Forza Horizon 5 is probably the best racing game I've played ever, but nobody's gonna compare Forza Horizon 5 to fucking Gran Turismo 2, right? Nobody's doing that. Anyways, then the next one, saying that gaming is dead because the viewership is going down. I think the viewership is either plateauing or maybe entering a little recession, but nonetheless, those viewers there's still viewers there. There's still people getting really good views, big, small channels, regardless, doing whatever. It's just harder than ever to get those viewers to discover you. You know what I'm saying? And even when they do discover you, it's audience retention is extremely hard. So we're gonna struggle with that for probably a while. And then last but not least, growing a gaming channel, obviously tough. I said it for the last 5 minutes of this video, but it's still possible, so that's why 500 videos in with only I'm about almost 3K, averaging 10-15 views per video. That's why I'm still grinding, because I know that audience is out there. They haven't discovered me, and the one, you know what I'm saying, and that they're still there. There's still something to be had here. It's not like a dead experience. It's just either recession or it's just become tougher. The bar has been raised about who, and sometimes it may feel like with the algorithm, it picks and chooses whoever is going to be next. Sometimes I'll be scrolling through and I'll see somebody who got blessed by the algorithm and their videos are going crazy, and I'm like, I make better content than this person, right? But it just motivates me to keep going, because like, if he made it, I know I can. I just gotta, wait my turn, this, that, and the third. But if you're a fellow content creator, or if you're just somebody scrolling through, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Again, lost my script, so this was just kind of a podcast style rant into the mic, staring at Audacity for 20 something minutes. But hopefully I can do some good stuff in the background to keep you interested to listen to this whole 20 minutes. If you make it to the end, really appreciate it. I have a full Elden Ring playlist in there. If you need something to watch, that's hours of content right there. So if you like Elden Ring, you want to see my playthrough, my blind basically playthrough of it, there's that. I just finished the Quarry, really good, relatively quick series, only 9 episodes total. Knock that out if you want. I got anime reviews, all kinds of stuff, which I'm going to be starting to write the next anime review, and I also need to edit this. And then I need to get back into multiplayer Monday. And then I need to play Evil Within, Dying Light. So if you like gaming content or variety content per se, stick around. Make sure you subscribe or check out some of the playlists, whatnot. But hey, until we meet then or in the comments, remember, envy no man, because we know we have next. Sponsored by Atari. And
Join will be hopping. The octopus said the same thing to Yoshi. It's about being patient, taking your moment. So snap out of it. You can't let a couple of losses blow you off course. You don't have to win now, just someday. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Well, it kills the octopus